Welcome to the Saturday Cadence Podcast. I'm Blake Biscardi, and remember, the Saturday Cadence Podcast is the heartbeat of college football. Ohio State won the national championship, and then Jim Knowles heads to Penn State. Good to be back with you guys. It's been a quick break. We've got more news to talk about. The coaching carousel has extended with this season going to January 20th. Ohio State wins the national championship game. So some staff moves there for the Buckeyes and for the Irish. Notre Dame having a couple as well. And then Penn State also getting into the mix here, acquiring Jim Knowles from Ohio State. So Jim Knowles is heading to State College, which this news is a couple of weeks old. We just want to talk about it quickly in the context of Ohio State's defensive coordinator and who they might hire, that short list. So real quickly, I'm going to touch on Jim Knowles. And Knowles served his purpose in Columbus. I think this is one where it was beneficial for both parties. He is going to end up in State College. He is from the Philadelphia area. He says that he dreamed of Penn State as a player, and now that he has an opportunity as a coach, it was a no-brainer for him. Now, they did end up paying more than Ohio State, allegedly, but the Buckeyes, with bonuses included, could have covered that. And I do not think financials was the reason that this move was made, though Penn State's offer was reportedly higher. There was still a buyout factoring in. But outside of the financials here, Knowles is going to be in State College. And when you look at this move for Penn State, you may think, well, this is a home run. This is a big-time get for James Franklin. This is going to be good for Penn State. They return a lot of veteran guys. Are they going to be the 2025 version of 2024 Ohio State, 2023 Michigan? That's where the talk is trending. But can that be the case? Now, with Penn State, they have Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen. Now, their running backs coach just left to go to Notre Dame. So we will see what happens, if anything, in the portal window with Singleton, Allen, or any of the other depth backs in that Penn State room. Will they make the move with them? But for the Nittany Lions, they've had Tom Allen, they've had Manny Diaz for the last 2 seasons as defensive coordinator, and that's worked out really well. They were great defensive coordinators. Penn State's defense has been strong under James Franklin in his entire tenure. So when I see this acquisition of bringing in Jim Knowles, you're getting him from your conference rival and one of the classes of the conference right now, the defending champion Buckeyes. So anytime you do that, you want to pat yourself on the back. That's a win for our program. And I think, too, you'd rather have Jim Knowles than not have Jim Knowles. So for Penn State, the defense is going to be in good hands. But my question is, what problems is the Jim Knowles hire going to actually solve for Penn State? Now, they did not beat Ohio State this year. They did not beat Oregon this year. They get to a national semifinal. They lose to Notre Dame. And who did they complete their passes to? 3 tight ends and 2 running backs. There were 0 catches for the wide receivers. So that's why I ask you, is this actually going to solve real problems for Penn State? Penn State's offense, which was the dichotomy of this Penn State offense, was very interesting as the year progressed. Because against Ohio State, it scored 6 points. There was a pick 6 there to give Penn State its only touchdown in that game. And then they almost hang 40 on Oregon. Now, whether or not rumors of the flu, Oregon's defense is not as good as Ohio State's, whatever you want to get into, night and day performances there. So Andy Kotelnicki has revamped that Penn State offense. But in the big game here on the big stage with Notre Dame and with Ohio State, 2 really, really good defenses, there was basically 0 output. Now, you can stop a team who's just throwing the ball to running backs and tight ends. You got to have your wide receivers involved. So with Penn State and Jim Knowles, I think the defense is going to be great. I do think there will be some improvements. Now, it did take until midway through season 3 for Knowles' system to be fully installed and it really take off after that Oregon game, after Day got involved. I mean, Knowles was a masterclass defensive play caller down the stretch for Ohio State. What that defense did post-Oregon was world-class, and it was the top unit in the country, and rightly so. In 4 statistical categories, the Buckeyes, the Silver Bullets, they did what they needed to do. And I do think that they will improve at Penn State. Do they have the pieces to run the typical Jim Knowles scheme, which is the 3-3-5 with the jack position? Do you have that third safety that you can get onto the field. Will he be ready? Will they need to look into the portal, see if they can add another piece or two? But I think that Penn State defense will be good enough. I just wonder if the offense, that's what I want to see. We saw Trey Wallace hit the portal, Julian Fleming graduating. You see the tight end Tyler Warren going to the NFL, going to be a first-round draft pick. Who is Drew Aller going to throw the football to next year? That is the big question for Penn State. Now, they've made a move out of the portal. What receivers do they have coming up? Those are the questions, because you're going to have one of the best returning quarterbacks in the country in Drew Aller. You're going to have Nicholas Singleton. You're going to have Katron Allen. That's a solid three. You're going to have a decent offensive line. Another good piece. On the outside, on the perimeter, who are you going to have that's going to say, you know what, this roster can outscore Ohio State. This roster can go beat Oregon. This roster can go 60 minutes with Texas. This roster can hang with Georgia. Those are the questions I want you to ask in State College. And then also consider James Franklin in big games. What will it take for him to get over that hump in the big games? If you believe it's going to happen eventually, what will that be? Is it going to be wide receivers? Is it going to be just having a defense that can hold you to 10 to 13 points, and maybe that's enough? Penn State can just win this old school where they don't have to score 24 points. They can just win the game with defense, almost be the elite version of what Iowa is. Is that the path for James Franklin and Penn State? That's what I want you to find out over the course of the spring, into the summer and camp, and then into next season. It's going to be a favorable schedule again. They do host Oregon, but they have to go to Columbus. The only two games on the schedule, Penn State has got to win at least one of them. That game against Oregon at home going to be more important because it is the one at home. You have the crowd advantage there. Will probably be a whiteout or the stripe out game, depending on time. Imagining a big noon kickoff there. So that's my question for Penn State. Can they get over that hump? Because having Jim Knowles is great. You'd rather have him than not have him. But I don't think it solves as many problems as you would like it to, because defense hasn't been the problem. The offense has. So that is where I see Penn State into the spring portal window, paying attention to what moves they make, because I think they need to add another safety. And I think we need to see what is that product of perimeter weapons. What's that arsenal going to look like for Drew Aller? But let's shift gears to Ohio State here. They lose Jim Knowles, promote from within. Chip Kelly goes to the NFL to the Raiders. Now we're going to promote from within here to bring in Brian Hartline as the offensive coordinator. He has held the co-offensive coordinator passing or job title. He's held the passing game coordinator title. He's the wide receivers coach, the best recruiter in the country. And Ohio State elevates him. Ryan Day promotes him to offensive coordinator, brings in Tyler Bowen, former offensive coordinator of Virginia Tech. So now you're getting this is 2 years in a row now for Ryan Day. You get a Power 4 head coach, Chip Kelly, to become an offensive coordinator, taking a quote-unquote step back, or is it a level up position? And then you get a Power 4 offensive coordinator to become a position coach. Now, probably going to see the run game coordinator style involvement for Tyler Bowen in this one. He's got great experience with the tight ends. He was at Penn State for a long time, produced that room with all those draft picks. The main recruiter in Tyler Warren's recruitment. So he's been great at developing players. He has called plays before, and I don't know the involvement that it's going to be for him with Brian Hartline. I do think Brian Hartline will call the plays because he is the offensive coordinator and Tyler Bowen is a position coach. But I do think having his knowledge in that room, surrounding Brian Hartline with great guys, with good coaching, with experience, I think that is what is going to help make Brian Hartline successful as a first-time play caller, because that's difficult to do in general, let alone in the bright lights of Columbus at Ohio State, where you can't mess up. We saw how that went with Kerry Combs. He called some plays a couple of years ago. The defense was really, really bad in 2021. And he had to go out. Jeff Hafley had a great 2020, 2021. Ohio State's defense faltered. And then you bring in Jim Knowles, and things got better. So for Brian Hartline, elite position coach, and with this supporting cast, can be a really good offensive coordinator. This is going to be the Ryan Day offense. And we're going to see what Brian Hartline can do now with this Ohio State offense with Tyler Bowen, Ryan Day going to be involved. Ohio State promotes Billy Fessler to quarterbacks coach. Will Howard gave him a lot of praise at the end of the season for his development. He did set the completion percentage record for Ohio State this past season, outdoing C.J. Stroud, Dwayne Haskins, all these guys, Justin Fields. So Will Howard, a tremendous season, will be a Buckeye for life. But there's a great surrounding cast of young, talented head coaches for Brian Hartline to be successful, and I do think that he will. But there may be some growing pains, but I do think Brian Hartline eventually will be successful as an offensive play caller, because when I first saw the move, I was a little bit hesitant. Do I like it? Do I not like it? The promote from within, first-time play caller, great recruiter. We don't want to lose him, but at the same time, is a coach bigger than the program? No. You're going through all these different things. And I said, I'm going to pause and I'm going to wait to set my expectations. And I'm going to wait to judge this hire until I see the surrounding cast. Then we saw the Tyler Bowen announcement. Then we saw the Fessler announcement. So this is what I like around Brian Hartline. Ryan Day, again, still being involved. Where it gets interesting for the Buckeyes is on defense. Ohio State has been without a defensive coordinator for now a couple of weeks. Jim Knowles has gone to Penn State. Matt Guerrieri, Tim Walton, in-house options. Now, if you're Ryan Day, I don't think we want to elevate and promote from within on both sides of the football as your coordinators. I don't think that will be the wisest option. So what could Ohio State do? What could be the reasons the Buckeyes have not made a move yet? Well, the Super Bowl was yesterday, on Sunday. And there's a coach, Joe Cullen, the defensive line coach for Kansas City. He's the lead target and candidate for Ohio State's defensive coordinator position. So Joe Cullen and Kansas City, they have him the seasons. Ohio State, Kansas City, both playing on the last day of the season. Ohio State wins the national championship. Kansas City's in the Super Bowl. You got to wait. Now, we've seen Randy Bates, Pittsburgh's defensive coordinator, be rumored around. We've seen his ties. We know he's an Ohio State graduate, so he's involved. We have Haycock from Iowa State. We have Phil Parker at Iowa, Jim Leonard. We've had a lot of names floated around. The co-defensive coordinator titles for Matt Guerrieri and for Tim Walton. So a lot of these guys, we keep hearing the names floated around. If it was going to be one of them, you feel like that announcement would have been made. But I think Joe Cullen is the top target. We know Ryan Day, when he likes to hire these coaches, he likes NFL experience. He wants to see that pedigree. We saw his approach to this season to win the national championship game was an NFL approach, consulting Chip Kelly, consulting NFL head coaches. What do we do to prepare for this season, potentially playing 16 games from 12 or 13, even 14? With this extended season going over 22 weeks, what can we do to be at our best at the end? Can we peak in December and January? How do we do that? It was an NFL approach. Ohio State was ahead of the curve. They weren't sports science, analytics, all just driven by that in camp, pulling guys off the practice mats and pulling guys out of practice and easing up on that. They did what they needed to do in winter workouts, in fall camp. It was never foot on the gas all the way. Ohio State played slow. They played efficiently. Ryan Day said it a million times this year. They wanted Will Howard to look those guys in the eye, build that trust with the play call, see him as a leader, and then go out and do it. This team was unselfish. They did not have to play fast. Ohio State was one of the slower playing teams in the country, and you almost see, why are they only scoring 30 points a game? Why can't they score 40? They have so much talent. What's wrong with Ohio State? Are they broken? Can't they do this? Ryan Day this. So many things were going around, but Ryan Day's like, hold on a second. October, it doesn't matter. He said on his interview with Joel Klatt, the eye test shouldn't be that much of a thing anymore. If you, I need style points. No, you just need to win football games because you've got a lot of football ahead of you. Those games Ohio State won, that's big boy football games, back to back to back to back to back. Not to mention a conference championship game if a team should get there. Not to mention rivalry week at the end of the season. Not to mention the grind that November already is for these teams. So Ohio State's going to take down SEC opponent Tennessee, Big Ten champion Oregon, SEC runner-up Texas, Notre Dame, one of the more physical teams in the country, back to back to back to back. That team was fresh. Quidshot Judkins, Travion Henderson. They were the two freshest players probably on the field on all four football fields Ohio State played on in the college football playoff. The Horseshoe, Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, National Championship game. They were the two freshest players. They were unselfish, both 1,000-yard backs, and they got to January where they could peak at the right time. Opening round game against Tennessee, hit Tennessee in the mouth, didn't know what happened. Shot out of a cannon. Oregon, 34-0. No clue what's going on that Oregon sideline. Ohio State had that edge to them. They were able to peak. Everything clicked. They went up tempo. They unlocked all of the talent on the team. The defense played fast, downhill. They could pin their ears back because the offense was executing. They started fast. A touchdown, 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 touchdown. First 4 drives, Ohio State scored all the playoff games. That is how you want to be ahead of the curve. That is why Ryan Day likes the NFL style experience on his team, on his coaching staff. So that's why I expect Joe Cullen to be the main target in this. And that is why the announcement, I believe, has been delayed from what we've been told, from what we're seeing, and just piecemealing things together. That is my expectation for Ohio State's defensive coordinator. And then lastly, I want to talk about Ryan Day. He gets a contract extension, 7 years now, through the 2031 season. $12.5 million a year, right behind Kirby Smart, rightly so. He is one of the 3 active national champion winning head coaches. You got Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Dabo Swinney. And just a really cool moment. Just shows you the character of who Ryan Day is. We saw the players and the coaches and everyone around the program just rally and be so happy for Ryan Day. He looks 20 pounds lighter after that game with the weight that was on his shoulders. He signed his new contract, and then he made a $1 million donation to the mental health programs at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. He's been a champion for mental health awareness for his entire career. Everyone knows the tragic story of him losing his father when he was young, and he has continued to be a champion. We have the Ryan and Nina Day Fund that they partner with on our sleeves with Nationwide Children's. Day is highly involved as a mental health advocate, and it is just incredible. It speaks to his character, who he is, what he believes in, and the help that he wants to get everyone who could need it. And so he is a tremendous ambassador of, number one, his family, also for anyone struggling with mental health. He wants to bring that awareness. He wants to get these people the resources that they need, fund research, so we can continue to make strides in this space. He is an incredible leader, a great developer, and a true relationship builder. And that was evident throughout that playoff because this team, we've said it again, we'll say it more times after this. That team could have fallen. That team could have packed it up. That team could have went to the NFL. All of that stuff could be true. They could have left Day hung out to dry after that Michigan game. But no, they rallied behind their head coach. They played for him. They were disciplined for him. They played heavy, fast, and determined for Coach Day. And now they are all national champions. And the story of this team gets to be told, as Day has said numerous times. The story of the 2024 Ohio State Buckeyes gets to be told, and it's a good one. And the more and more things that come out, the more and more proud you are of that group of players, that group of coaches, and that staff, and everyone around the program who was involved in making that run possible. It's just incredible. It was fueled by faith. So many incredible stories that we'll get into to tell throughout this offseason, woven into our coverage. I know we see the offseason as there's no football, but let me tell you something. Plenty of news, plenty of stories. We're going to have it all here for you on Saturday, Kid. And so make sure that you are staying tuned to our social media, to the podcast outlets, and to our website, tsilverbulletin.com. So quick updates here on some of the coaching changes that have gone on, mostly Ohio State and Penn State, Notre Dame as well. And we will continue to have more coverage for you as we continue on into February. And we want to continue to let you know that we have this coverage coming down the pike here. We're going to have some interview series coming out And make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, leave us a review, like the show, follow us on social media at Saturday Cadence, at T Silver Bulletin, and we will see you next time. God bless.